Hi, welcome back. Let's take a look at this UniFi Protect G4 Doorbell. As usual, it's in the strong Ubiquiti packaging. Let's open the lid. Inside the box we have the G4 Doorbell. We have underneath that a card with the QR code on. We have a mounting plate which would mount to the wall using screws, and then the doorbell would mount like so to the metal plate. Also in the box we have a transformer, and also in the box under the plastic cover we also have an angled wall plate which is for mounting the doorbell, say for example at an angle like so. There's also a bag of fixing screws, as you can see. So for the time being I'll put the angled wall plate back in. Oh, and also in the box there's the cables for connecting it to the transformer from the doorbell. You will see that there's connectors in the box with two sets of wires coming out. On each of the two sets there's two connectors and also two spade terminals. There's also again two connectors with a spade terminal each end of the two single cables as well. Now, the way I understand it is that using the transformer you would connect one of the spade terminals into pin 1 of the transformer and the other spade terminal into pin 4 of the transformer. So from the top you'd have one in terminal 1 at the left hand side and one in terminal 4 going to the connector, which would then leave the two connector blocks free. Then the doorbell would have one of the spade terminal connectors put to the back of it and the other spade terminal connector put to the back of the other pin, which would leave the two connectors free like so. You would then connect some cable from the connectors on the back of these wires coming out of the doorbell, run a cable to the two connectors in the junction box with the Ubiquiti logo on, which would then go into the transformer. Taking you back to the transformer again, you'll see at the bottom of the transformer under pins 5 and 6 these pins would be going to a mains connection from your electricity service provider or in your junction box or at a fused outlet. Make sure it is a fused outlet to protect the device in case of any electrical faults. I'll go ahead and wire this up and then come back to you and show you how it's been wired. Hi, here's how to wire up the UniFi Protect G4 Doorbell. Just before I carry on, I'll confirm that I purchased the UniFi Protect G4 Doorbell from the Ubiquiti EU store for installation in UK environments. So from the UniFi Protect G4 Doorbell box you'll see that there is a transformer, a connector block which has 4 wires coming out of it. 2 of those are with spade terminals and 2 of those have wire connector blocks. There's also a separate wire connector block with a spade terminal and a second wire connector block with another spade terminal. You'll also need the mounting bracket, but this is just for demonstration purposes, so I won't be using the bracket to fix it to anything. And also, of course, the UniFi Protect G4 Doorbell. You'll also need a Phillips screwdriver and also a crosshead screwdriver. The crosshead screwdriver is particularly useful for the screws at the back of the actual G4 doorbell, as you'll see here. So firstly, you need to loosen the screws at the back of the G4 doorbell, as I'm doing now, and connect the spade terminals from each of the single wires to the back of these screws, like so. It doesn't matter which way round the wires go. Then tighten the screws up on both of the spade terminals. Give them a gentle tug to make sure that they're tight. Then those wires would be threaded through the back of the mounting plate, and then these connectors would be threaded through the wall. Then you need a length of doorbell wire, which I have here, and which does not come with the UniFi Protect G4 doorbell, so you have to purchase this separately depending on how much length of wire you need. Then connect one end of the doorbell wire into the connector coming from the back of the UniFi Protect doorbell, and then the second wire to the other terminal coming from the back of the G4 doorbell. So as you'll see here, for demonstration purposes, I'm taking the mounting plate off just to make it easier. Then the other end of the doorbell wire, you need to put it into the terminal block here with the 4 wires. Doesn't matter which way round the connectors go and the wires go on these connector blocks. Just make sure they're secure and in place, like so. And then the spade terminals should go into the back of the transformer under pins 1 and 4. They are numbered on the device. As you'll see, there's 4 screw holes at the top of the transformer, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the bottom there's 2 holes with screws. You need to connect the wires from this terminal block with the Ubiquiti logo to pins 1 and 4. These spade connectors do not fit into the transformer, so what I will do is cut the spade connectors off the end. Then once you have stripped the wire off the end of the terminal block with the Ubiquiti logo on, you need to connect these to pins 1 and 4 in the transformer. Firstly by loosening the screws, like so, and then connecting the wires into pins 1 and 4 at the top of the transformer, and then tighten the screws up. Give the wire a tug to make sure it's tight. Then the same with the second wire. As I said, it doesn't matter which way round the white wires go coming from the Ubiquiti terminal block here, as long as you've got them in pins 1 and 4 and not pins 5 and 6. So now that we've connected those, we'll proceed to connect a length of 2-core mains electrical cable into pins 5 and 6. Again, it doesn't matter which way round the cables go, but in this demonstration I'm using pins 5 is the brown wire, which is live, and then pin 6 is the blue wire, which is the neutral or negative as it's called. Again, tighten the screws up. Then once you have connected it to the mains power, you will see that the G4 doorbell is now powering up as the ring light is flashing, and also there's a U logo. Now it's saying starting up on the display here. Let's see if I can show you it on the camera. And it says ready for setup on the display. So now it's saying download the app from the Apple Store or Play Store. And now it's showing UniFi Protect ready for setup. So we'll now proceed further and go into the UniFi OS console on my PC and carry on with adopting the device and setting up the Protect doorbell. So now that you've followed my instructions on how to wire up the G4 Protect doorbell, we will now proceed to adopt the G4 doorbell into the UniFi Protect application. Here I'm using UniFi OS UDM-Pro 1.12.33 and I'm running UniFi OS on a UDM-Pro. So once you have logged in, you need to click on the dotted square icon in the top right corner here and then select Protect. Then from the left side menu, move down to the second icon, which is for UniFi devices, and click on that. And then from the list of devices you will see that there's a G4 doorbell and the status is click to adopt. So click to adopt. Wait for the device to be adopted, and as you'll see the status changes to adopting. And also you'll hear the chime from the G4 doorbell. On the G4 doorbell, which you can't see at the moment, it said setup complete, and now it's changed to welcome on the display screen. Now that the status has changed to updating, it will be updating firmware, and wait for this to complete before you proceed further. Also, whilst the update process is going on for the G4 doorbell, I just wanted to mention that in an upcoming video I'll be showing you how to add a smart chime to the G4 doorbell. So keep a lookout for that video coming up soon. The status on the G4 doorbell is now showing as updating firmware, and there's a progress bar on the screen of the device itself. It has now changed to a U logo, and the light around the doorbell button is flashing white. Now it's showing us the status on the display screen as starting up, and the white light is also still flashing. Now that it's showing us status connected, we can click here, which brings up the pop-up window on the right side of the screen with the camera status showing as connected. Model is G4 doorbell, firmware version is 4.57.35 and the connection is 100%. The last motion was 1 minute ago. It also shows then the MAC address, the host IP address, the frames per second, which is currently 30, and the bit rate is 3000 kilobits per second. The voltage is recorded as 22.2 volts and the uptime is 2 minutes, connected time 1 minute, and the last ring is never. The SSID is 10-2, which is for my 2 GHz Wi-Fi network, and then it also shows the BSS ID and also the channel number and also the transmit rate. Going to the next option, which is recording mode, you'll see that it requires a hard disk drive to record video, which I don't currently have in the UDM-Pro at the moment, but I will be adding one later. You can also reduce the frame rate. So let's drop that down to 25 frames per second, and also we can increase the image quality, let's say 71%, and click apply changes. Once that's done, we can also select detection and privacy zones, and here you can add a privacy zone. So once you click on that option, it brings up the video window, as you'll see with myself being recorded in the window at the moment, and then we can select hide motion zones. So let's click add new zone and then proceed to drag and drop using the 4 dots there on the video window. So what I'm doing is just highlighting myself as a detection window and clicking save. You can also give it a name. At the moment it's set as new zone. So close that window and then we'll move on to settings. You can select the camera name. At the moment it's set as G4 Doorbell. You can obviously give this a name like front door or back door, rear door, side door, whichever you choose. And you can also allocate it to a device group. At the moment there are no device group sets, so it's selected as none. Microphone sensitivity is set at 100% by default. The infrared night vision is set as automatic. Camera status sounds is disabled and the status light is enabled. Doorbell message we can also set to whichever you choose. For instance, you can select welcome or leave package at door. Display message, and then once you've clicked display message it will show the message on the G4 Doorbell. I'll change this back to welcome, close that drop down window for the doorbell message and then select the next option, which is chime. At the moment there's no chime selected and I'll leave that as it is for the time being, until which point as I install the smart chime then I will change that. You can also select overlay information, so we can have the logo, the camera name and the time, which will be displayed on the video window. I'll change add time and also add camera name, click apply changes, then go back to the overview, click on the camera picture, and here you'll see that the time and the date and the name of the doorbell is displayed in the top left corner of the video window. I'll close the player now, go back to settings, then continue with overlay information and then move down to Wi-Fi connection. Here you'll see it's given it the SSID 10-2, which is my 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi network name. You can also select various other networks from the drop down list, which you can scroll up and down to. Under advanced you can have real-time streaming protocol selected, set to either high 1600 by 1200, medium 960 by 720 or low 480 by 360. So I'll change this to real-time streaming protocol, set it to high, and then it displays a link down below. If that link is clicked it should display the video in other applications such as VLC Media Player, which I know plays RTSPS streams. So let's turn that back off for the time being, and then under manage you can select the option to restart the camera or unmanage the camera. If you wanted to move it to a different UniFi network you would click unmanage camera, which would then remove it from your network and allow you to install it on somebody else's network. So let's go back to overview. So if we go back into the settings menu, you'll see there's also an option to adjust camera picture. Clicking that brings up the video window where you can select various options for microphone, brightness, contrast, sharpness, saturation, orientation and such like. We'll click close player, go back to the overview. As you can see, the video picture is quite good, and hopefully it would be the same at night. At the moment I'm just testing this indoors until it's actually installed in its proper environment. So that completes setting up of the G4 Doorbell. Thanks for watching, and keep a lookout for upcoming video with the smart chime added to the G4 Doorbell.